going to be tough to live up to. Well, greetings, everybody. I want to first thank Jeff for this great opportunity. I'm extremely humbled by it. And to thank every single one of you who paid your hard-earned money to come here and see the dynamic speakers that have been up on stage so far today, and myself, and then we do have some other engagements afterwards. So let's make sure I get this right. Boom, culture. All right, before we start this whole culture thing, I know it's after lunch, the coffee from this morning's probably worn off, and some of you might be dozing off. So humor me. I'm sure some people don't want to do this, but if you would just stand up, please. All right. Put your right hand out. Not too far. I don't want anybody getting slapped. Left hand out. All right. And just bring them together. All right. Thank you. I always wanted a standing ovation. So let's dive into this culture thing. Actually, before I do that, you're not going to have to stand up again, but here's a little mental exercise to get the brains fired up as well, because you've been thinking and processing a lot today. In your own head, imagine to extreme detail a tree, any tree. Could be a palm tree, could be a pine tree, could be a willow tree, any tree of your liking. Get down to the detail. Think down, nitty-gritty, all the details of that. All right? Now hold that image, because we're going to come back to it later in this conversation here. You'll see how it ties into culture. So what is culture? I've heard from a lot of people that culture is warm and fuzzy stuff, kumbaya. It's not on a balance sheet. How do you measure it? And I'm pretty sure a lot of people think this when they hear culture. Thank you, Google. Thank you, Apple. It's not about having sliding boards in your lobby. It's not about game rooms. And it's not about sleeping pods. Although I would like to have one of those. As I'm getting older, I realize the power of a nap. So it's not about that. What culture is, truly, it's the only unique thing to your business. We all have competitors. They all have similar, maybe same products, same services, but they can't replicate your culture. And I'm going to walk you through my journey, our journey. When I say our, I mean my JFC work family. I have some of them out there in the audience. Our journey and how I stumbled across culture, because I had a backwards viewpoint of it as well. I kind of shrugged it off. I thought it's just something that happens. You don't necessarily need to be deliberate about it. You don't have to foster it. So here goes the journey. The perfect storm, the recession, the Great Recession. Now, I happen to be the fortunate son of two entrepreneurs who started what is today the JFC Staffing Companies. And then I became the unfortunate son who bought my father out right during the Great Recession. Highest unemployment, I think they said, a lot of the studies, ever in the history of the nation, and I'm buying an employment service. It wasn't a great situation. I saw the fear and panic, the worry everywhere. I mean, the news was doom and gloom, houses foreclosures of people's homes, companies closing down, mass layoffs, people unable to, buy basic things to support their families. I saw it. They walked in every day with it on their faces. And when we left work, we were exposed to it even more. So obviously I was freaking out. I was in a mode of fear and panic. And I thought, oh my gosh. Just bought my father out. Now I'm at the helm. I'm going to be that second generation that they always talk about statistically. I'm going to crash and burn this company. What I was able to do is I was able to take some time. Called a sabbatical. I called it a week trip down to the beach in Florida. And I was able to, I know we spoke about it earlier today with some of the speakers, to remove myself from the whirlwind that was going on. To separate myself from being head-on, face-to-face with problems, the problems we were encountering. And I came across a book that, I'm a voracious reader. I thought this was a neat book. Most of you, hopefully all of you, know who this gentleman is, Tony, CEO of Zappos. And in his book, he talked about their call center and how much fun it was and how they were getting national accolades. And I'm thinking, a call center? That's high turnover. I can't remember the last time I called, no offense if Comcast is in here, and had a pleasant conversation or action with one of their call center reps. In his book, though, he states how they came together as an organization to create intended behaviors. And behavior is the first ingredient, in my humble opinion, to culture, what makes culture, what creates it and what sustains it. So after looking at the book, I thought, man, we can do this. If this call center is so zany that they're getting world recognition, not just nationally, and employee engagements through the roof, that means customer engagements through the roof, we can do this. So I jetted back to good old central Pennsylvania, and I brought the entire organization from CFO to our property manager and everyone in between. And I said, hey guys, I read this book. And they're like, oh great, another book. You know, are we gonna lose our jobs? Who cares about a book? And then I said it was Zappos, and the ladies were very excited. Oh, we're gonna get shoes and stuff. That's wrong, it's wrong. I said, no, this book gave me an idea. You know, we control our destiny. We control inside our organization. And we can use that to influence our success facing the outside economic pressures. So not to go through all of these, but we created, thank you for the introduction, what is our customer commitment. It is now the backbone of our organization. Just like they did at Zappos, the entire organization we created not through a marketing company, nothing wrong with marketing companies, but we created these core values that are here and here. They're not fancy buzzwords. These are behaviors that my fellow JFCers and I agreed to be committed to. Do what's best for the customer. And then you see all this stuff, accountable. My favorite one is keep things fun and celebrate often. Because too often we don't do that. And I'm not talking about the big celebrations, the milestones, you know, record sales, profitable years. I'm talking about the little things. Championing one another, catching people doing things right. It instilled a spirit within our organization of we can do this. We have confidence. And we're enjoying it, which was weird. Because everyone else was running around like the sky was falling. So out of those behaviors, we looked at and said, well, another thing we really should look at and blow the dust off are the values we have, our stated values, which admittedly, I'm not naive. Most organizations, if you ask your employees, what are our values, they're gonna look puzzled and worried. But if they're smart, they'll take the obvious guess and say integrity, because guess what? We have integrity still, and integrity's great. You need integrity. I would never diminish that. But it's not an emotional connection, not for our staff. So we thought, what else can we put other than trustworthiness and integrity, which we had? And we came up with two things, like Zappos' story, that were fun, that were a little zany, that were real. And the two that we came up with to add to our core values, compassion, because we're compassionate for each other first and foremost. I tell my JFCers, you're my number one customer. And for the customers of ours out there, my apologies, you're very important too. But I know if they're not happy and they're not in a good place, if our culture is toxic and sour or just haphazard, you're gonna feel that as a customer. But if they're excited and they're happy, like the call center minimum wage or just above call center employees at Zappos, you're gonna feel that. It's like dropping a stone in the water and that ripple effect that goes exponentially outward. So we looked at those values and we came up with compassion, like I said, and happiness. There's the kumbaya stuff, right, for the naysayers. Happiness, oh my gosh, campfires and singing songs. No, happiness. We spend a disproportionate amount of our adult lives working. I venture to say, even if you're not a workaholic, more time at work than with your own families. And that's statistically probable. 8 hours a day at minimum. And then you have a couple hours in the evenings, the weekends, and then for those workaholics, you're adding more time to that. So happiness made sense. I don't know about you, but I wanted to be happy. Who doesn't want to be happy? Especially during the Great Recession when nobody was happy. So the values became not just something that hangs on a wall and collects dust, but they became something that collectively throughout the entire organization, we brainstormed and created. So again, it was in their hearts and their minds. They lived it every day. And then lo and behold, this organization calls out of the blue. Hello, we'd like to interview you and your senior management team for a case study. By the way, we do these all the time, and then we publish New York Times best-selling books on it. Sure, where's the sales pitch? Who are you? Guess what? They were legit, obviously. This organization selected little old JFC staffing companies in central PA to be one of 500 chosen across the entire nation, from startups to large conglomerates, as long as they were headquartered and based in the United States. And they went through a very thorough engagement process with all of our employees for a month. And they measured it. And the awesomeness about this is we kicked butt. We kicked ass. I didn't say it. We kicked butt. Not only did we get selected to be one of 500 companies, but I'm so proud of my JFC family, we got ranked second out of the 500 for living our core values. Now, their next book that we will be in, and all the companies that signed their life away for the case study, comes out sometime in the next few months. I don't even know the title of it yet. Yeah, it was amazing stuff. And of course, the company that beat us, oh my gosh, don't break that, was, I think it was a startup company in San Francisco. They probably did have game rooms and sliding boards, so that helped them. But no, we did come in second to, a startup company in San Francisco, which, go Central PA, we got second. So we got that under our belt, values. Now we're thinking, all right, we got the beliefs, the customer commitment, or the behaviors, and beliefs. We got our core values. Now let's take action on it. Let's continually take action on it. Because again, too often we create these mantras, we go away to retreats, maybe come here, events like this, and we think to ourselves, we wrote it down, we got it mapped out, and then we hang it on a wall, like I said earlier. That's not going to work. You need to be deliberate with this. You need to infuse it into every part of every day. So what kind of actions did we have? Here's some examples. I'll run through a few of them. ACE, what the heck is ACE, right? Well, the ACE was developed during the Great Recession too. Like most companies, we had to put a salary freeze on. And my heart was breaking. These people are like family to me. And I see them putting more work and effort in to get a fraction of the results just because of the headwinds from the economic storm outside. So how can we celebrate our employees? How can we promote that happiness? The ACE program, again developed across the organization, is an acronym for Acknowledging and Celebrating Employees. And it's kind of like a Bitcoin. So if I catch anybody or anybody catches another JFC or doing something right, which we need to do more of because we're always having conversations when people do something wrong, I ACE them, peer to peer. It's not a management thing. It's not a leadership thing. Anybody can ACE each other. And you have to give them a handwritten note. And we promote it across the organization through our hub, which is our intranet and other channels. That was a magical thing. People weren't getting the bonuses or the raises during that time, but they were getting acknowledged. They were being recognized for going to battle, sticking it out, following the behaviors and the core values, and they loved it. We still have it today, of course. And there's a lot attached to it. We have a company kickoff party. They put them in for a raffle. You can win extra 40 hours PTO, electronics, all kinds of fun stuff. You can do team events where you trade in your Bitcoin ACE chips or whatever, and you have pizza parties for your branch. You can get minimal things, because I know for tax purposes. I'm not the accountant here. Minimal things like coffee cards and all that good stuff. We institutionalize fun in the workplace. Again, cliche term, fun in the workplace. We all have fun in the workplace. No, we did it that by department or by division, location, they're assigned each month to create something fun for Fun in the Workplace, which is a single Friday every month. Sometimes it's you get together and you do little crazy videos with an app, and then we blast it all over social media, show everyone how much fun we're having. I do a personal letter that I send to their homes. Why do I do that? Because their families will see it. What do you do when you get the mail? You open it up, oh gosh, bills, and you put it on the counter. Well, hopefully they don't say that when they see my letter. Oh gosh, but they do read that. They put my letter down, and then their children walk by, or their spouse. What is this from the CEO? Are you in trouble? And it's never about KPIs and profitability, because that's an end result of this culture thing. I talk about culture. I talk about the milestones, the victories employees are doing. I give them tools for their tool belt, things I've learned through Jeff, through my own readings, through reaching out to people that inspire me. And of course, we do have the silly things, yoga balls, adjustable desks, and all that. But that helps. It helps. And we're not getting slides and game rooms. You don't have to spend all that money. So going back to the game rooms, I am a sucker for experimentation. Jeff likes that. So I had to try it out and see if it worked. My folks said, no, you're not putting a sliding board in the lobby. And I couldn't have a sleeping pod in my office. So I went to Costco, spent, several $100, bought foosball tables, some little bumper billiard tables, and put them in our office locations, in their break rooms, thinking, oh, this will be awesome. It was great. People were so excited for like a week. 3 months later, they're putting their food plates on it. They're collecting dust. So I know firsthand, having sliding boards and game rooms and free lunches we might like a little more, it's a shiny object. Don't be fooled by that. Don't give up on culture because you're like, Apple and Google set the bar so high, that's what it's about. Culture, again, it's in here and it's in here. It's not a physical thing. So results. All right, here are the people in the room. I know there's a lot of naysayers about the subject of culture and being deliberate about it and fostering it. And I can't control it. It's not on a balance sheet. How do you measure it? I can tell you right now. I'll show you how it's measured. So results, clearly rated. They're like the Gallup organization. They poll our industry, well, other industries too, but they poll companies across the nation, ask, have you ever used a staffing firm, recruiting firm? Yes, I have. And they use the Net Promoter Score, Net Promoter Rating. Quick rundown, Google it if you don't know what it is, because I'd be up here too long. But it measures customer engagement, which has a direct lineage to profitability and growth. Less than 3%, that's right, 3% of our industry in North America, which is Canada and good old US of A, gets named to this list. Less than 3%, and we're little old JFC. I'm talking big publicly traded recruiting firms and everything in between. We've been named to it 6 years. This has all happened since we created our customer commitment, since the Great Recession. 6 times. Heck, we're waiting to find out if we get 7 times. I don't know what's going to happen soon. But that is how we measure it, because that is our customer saying, I love JFC, and yes, I'm a promoter. I rate them a 9 or 10 that I would refer JFC to a friend, colleague, blah, blah, blah. And if they're detractors, then we're in trouble. And we have detractors. Everyone's going to have them. Best places to work. It was mentioned earlier. We're a 9-time recipient. That is not easy to do, folks. If you haven't participated in it, I highly suggest you do. Whether you win or not, it's super valuable because you get unfiltered feedback anonymously from all of your staff. And I know we kind of, watch my time, we kind of falsely believe, well, it's, Central PA because it's always held here in Lancaster, right? And Central Penn Business Journal sponsors it. No. It just happens to be here. It is the entire, frog in my throat, it is the entire state of PA. There's a ton of businesses and employers in Pennsylvania. To be listed in this, I think there's 100 maybe. They maybe brought it down lately. That's proof. If our employees didn't enjoy the culture, we're not getting on that. Because I'll tell you what, we're a small company. We don't have the biggest salaries. We don't have the fanciest offices, but we have genuine care and concern for our people, and we foster a culture that celebrates one another, and that's what matters. It's not about spending money. I challenge all of you here today, before you leave or after you leave, don't do it when anyone's speaking, because then I'm going to get yelled at. Google your company's name and online reviews. See what people are saying. I am blessed and fortunate that the culture myself and my JFC work family created is bringing such praise to our organization. These are people that have left, most of them. Well, there's 2 up there, maybe not all of them. But primarily, these are people that leave your organization. What do they say? Well, you know, Jim's a real jerk. He gets on stage, runs around. See what that is. That's the litmus test. That'll tell you what your culture's like. Now, I'm right on time. Before I finish, again, I want to thank everybody for their attention and for humoring me with that standing ovation. The tree you all imagined. Some of you probably imagined leaves of color, like now in the fall. Some of you probably imagined a big, robust trunk. Some of you probably imagined maybe a little swing set from when I was a child, hanging off one of the limbs. But what I do know is very few of you envision the roots. Did anyone in here envision roots, a root system? 1, I see 1 hand. Okay, 2, a couple people. Culture is like the roots of a tree. Without it, your organization can't blossom, it can't grow. And unfortunately, it's widely overlooked and ignored. Remember that. And thank you again for this opportunity to speak with you all.